Hello and welcome to the Candlelight Podcast, where I, Mohamed Abdalla, talk about different topics, including some of my favorites, which are movies, martial arts, and philosophy. Let's jump right into this week's quote, guys. So, for this week, we got a quote from Rich Roll, a famous ultra marathon runner and a person who is very well known to be able to do many of these like endurance type activities that require someone to not only be in peak physical shape but also have a very strong mental fortitude, have a very good, very solid mindset. He proclaims mood follows action. What does he mean by this? Well, suppose you have to work out and you don't have the motivation, or you're not in the mood, but you still have to do what you need to do, which is work out. Um, what he suggests is the right thing to do is to not wait for the mood to hit you, is to not wait for the motivation, but rather to do the action, and then the mood would follow. Meaning, first you have to do the action, and then the feeling of being motivated, the feeling of euphoria, the dopaminergic, mood sets in after you do the thing. So it's not the way we usually understand it. We don't have the motivation first necessarily, or the mood, and then we do the action. Because if we were to basically uh, count on our mood every day to get us through our actions, we would not be able to be as consistent as we would need to be. So he says, rather than focusing on mood and waiting for that in order to start your action, do the action first, and then the mood will naturally come afterwards. So that's a very interesting thing that I've heard him. I've heard him iterate. I've heard him say, because I enjoyed some of his podcasts, including one with David Goggins, a very famous, another famous ultra marathon runner who just does these crazy endurance exercises and activities as well, and also very well known for his mental fortitude. That's just very bulletproof. Both guys are awesome in that regard. They have that mindset of not giving up, of doing a thing that they need to do until it's done, not backing down, not taking the easy road, and I do admire them for that. And this week's quote was really actually something that really helps me get through some of the toughest things I have to do. Whether it is something as simple as having to exercise and not being in the mood for it, or similar things such as just doing writing an essay, or starting a project. I have to start doing the thing before I feel the mood sometimes. So sometimes I'm just not bothered to do the thing, but I just start it. And then 5 to 15 minutes in, I realize, hey, I'm getting in the mood right now. And that's the way to do it, according to them at least. And I've tried that, and it worked for me. I really liked it. Thank you, Rich Roll, for that. So anyway, guys, what do we have for this week? Well, this past week we've seen a very specific, international holiday, not really a holiday, just like a day to celebrate something type of day, which is Women's Day, International Women's Day. I believe it was on, well, I'm not sure what day of March specifically it was on, but it was this past week, and we got to, see the regular old, Women's Day posts circled around on social media. We saw Google change their website logo into, something to do with women, something, just to celebrate the occasion. And yeah, I just wanted to put my own 2 cents into the matter and say, yeah, man. So, I was about to say women, they don't get enough credit, which in some cases they do, some cases they don't. But you know who doesn't really get enough credit? Not enough. Mothers. Mothers just don't get the credit they deserve. No matter how much credit you give them, it's not as much as they deserve. Because, man, mothers just carried us throughout our entire lives. I mean, first of all, you as a person were carried by your mother for about 9 months, you know, causing her to go through pain and all, which is not on you, by the way, not on you as a person. She experienced pain. She experienced, um, exhaustion, just trying to make sure you are healthy and are safely carried in her body until she gives birth to you, and then she has to take care of you for numerous years to come. She has to parent you the whole way. She has to make sure that you're good, you're set, and you are not really, lacking in anything, whether it is in comfort, in nutrition, whatever it may be. Mothers have always been there for us. They're just underrated. Mothers are underrated. Man, I just can't thank my own mother enough, and everything she's done for me. She's amazing. The greatest woman I've ever met. She is, I would say, of course I'm biased here, but she is the greatest mom ever. You know, I'll just go ahead and say that. But hey, that's just me. Me and my very subjective opinion here, because she's my mom and she's done a lot for me. I've seen some of what she's done for me. Of course, I haven't seen and experienced everything she's done for me, because it's a whole lot than I could possibly know. And hopefully, when I'm a parent one day, I'll get a taste of it. But I'll only get a taste of it because I'm a guy, and the woman is the one who's really gonna have to do the hard labor, so to say. However, let's not forget that guys have an important role in raising a kid as well, because it, who's gonna bring home that bread? Who's gonna bring home that sustenance? Of course, we guys generally tend to do that, fill that role. So it's just beautiful. Women's Day, and oh, by the way, uh, there's this joke. People like their jokes. It was like, okay, so we had Women's Day and it's over. Now for another 364 days of Men's Day, which is, true, to say the least, but no. Yeah, well, we do have our own Men's Day, and I guess that's the day where we celebrate men and our achievements, which are basically all the achievements, other than child rearing, Because we invented, we built, we created civilizations and empires. Yeah, women had nothing to do with that. It's all us. It's all just us men. Yeah, women are not complicit in any way. Man, yeah. It's so weird whenever I hear one side try to lessen the other's value. It's so ridiculous. No, we both need each other. We're not the same. Men and women are not the same, but we are equal. We are equal in worth and value, but we are not the same in so many regards. Obviously. I mean, as much as I hate this word, I'm going to use it. Common sense. I hate the word common sense because it really doesn't exist. And there's no such thing as common sense. It's all subjective. There is such a thing as the right way of thinking, which is what we kind of refer to as common sense, but it's not really common. It's just what you were raised with. And there is a right and wrong, yes. But some people can believe the right, some people can believe the wrong. There's no such thing as common sense, if you know what I mean. But anyway, going back to my point, men and women are equal in worth and value. They're just as important and as valuable and as worthy as each other. But they're not the same. They don't necessarily fulfill the same roles within society, spiritually, and in every basically degree you can imagine. It's not necessarily the same. However, we are equal in worth and value. I need to reiterate this point because people think if I say something such as something factual, such as men are generally stronger than women physically, people will think, are you saying men are better than women? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying men have that over women, such as women have certain things over men, such as being able to be patient, for example. Yeah, but we're complementary to each other. There's a holistic harmony that is in the relationship of a man and a woman. Men have certain qualities that women don't, and women have certain qualities that men don't, and therefore we complete each other. it's a well-functioning system. Anyway, I guess that's about all that I could say for Women's Day. And just say, hooray, all women. Uh, God bless you all for whatever it is that you do, whether it is, taking care of the kids, raising kids, and bringing home the bread, if that's what you do, and killing it in your career. But I think, look, this is an awesome quote. Oh, bonus quote, by the way. This is an awesome quote from C.S. Lewis, the playwright, that I really, really, really agree with. The ultimate career is the homemaker. And every other job out there is there to support the ultimate career, which is the homemaker. He said something along those lines. So basically, being a mother is the best job in the world. Why do women seek? Generally, why would anyone seek something other than that? Like, I want to be a graphic designer. What about, sure, that's cool if that's what your passion is, but to think of being a mother, that's the best thing that's the best job one can have. It's the most rewarding job. It's the most, blessed job. It's the most honorable job. It's one of the hardest jobs, if not the hardest job, not including, being a soldier in war, obviously. But yeah, the highest esteem in this world goes to mothers. So there you go. Okay, moving on from that. Oh, I saw this interesting documentary that was recently uploaded on Netflix. What was it called? Something like it was a samurai documentary. Something about Japan in feudal Japan. Something, I'm not sure. Age of Samurai. That's what it was called. Yeah, Age of Samurai. It's on Netflix. Recently dropped. It's really, really interesting. Because this is what it's basically about. Obviously it's in the title, Age of Samurai. It was basically back in the day in Japan when, feudal warring factions and clans were fighting each other in order to seize control over the region, which is Japan. And you hear about cool stuff about, samurais and ninjas and, all this cool stuff that comes from Japan and interesting, stories, as such. But I never really looked into the real history of Japan and read for myself or seen for myself these things in action. Like, who were the samurai? Who were the ninjas? Who were the people that fought each other in order to exert their control, to assert their dominance on each other, to, control what is going to be modern day Japan? Well, this documentary really covers that basically. It was about this one clan. It started off this way. It's a bunch of episodes, all almost about an hour long. I didn't finish it. It was I have watched only 3 episodes so far, and I'm just gonna give you the quick rundown of it. Of what I've watched so far. And by the way, spoilers if you want to watch the thing. I mean, it's kind of cool. Go ahead and watch it if you want to. But hey, there is I think one or maybe two nude scenes in the documentary, which I don't know why they even put that in. It doesn't benefit the it's not a visual aid in any way. It doesn't benefit the story. It's really just there to be there for no reason. Just leave the nudity out of it. I don't want to see that. I can't see that. It's wrong for me to look at someone who's naked. It's not for me to do. And yeah, it's not necessary to the storyline. Anyway, the story kind of starts off with explaining how this clan, one of the strong clans in Japan back in the day in 1550, I believe, they're the main patriarch, the head of the clan, passes away, and then his eldest son is the one who takes control of the clan, and he has certain ambitions. This guy was ambitious, and he was not gonna let anything step into his way, literally nothing. Even if his own family members were to try and stop him, he would even, get rid of them, so to say. yeah, this guy just didn't care. He had a lot of goals and a lot of objectives, which the main goal was for him at least is to seize control of the entirety of Japan, to unify the country and have them all bow down to his rule. Anyway, so what he does is try to expand into other territories that are not even his, that are not even his family's. So he's basically transgressing the boundaries, and well, obviously the other clans are fighting back, and he just like fights back against like he tries to dominate. He asserts his command, and he was a very oh I didn't even mention the name of the clan. The clan's name, that we are talking about is Oda, and the guy who's from that clan who just got control and is now trying to expand his control is Oda Nobunaga, if I'm not mistaken. They mentioned the family name first and then the person's name second. That's how it works in Asia, I believe. That's how I read it with you know uh, Chinese people, Koreans, and Japanese. I think yeah, that's how they do it. They mention the family name first and then the person's name. So this guy Nobunaga, he is the one who's trying to kind of like assert his dominance, and a very he's a very smart you know he's a tactical genius, strategic genius. He's really apt in warfare. He's really good at like navigating a field and actually thinking up of some tactics to disrupt his enemy and actually defeat them on the field. Very smart. The techniques and the ideas that he comes up with, it's really mind-blowing how smart someone can be with regard to battle and warfare. Yeah, I'll gotta check out that documentary. It's interesting. It's really interesting. Shows you how, oh, and there's also the aspect of, the religious Buddhist monks in the matter, because what he was doing is very irreligious. He was not a person who he didn't really care about religion. He just wanted to, serve his control. And he would do it by any means necessary, even if it meant killing men, women, and children. That's how far he took it. He didn't spare anyone. So he was a very brutal warlord, or I believe as they call them in Japan, daimyo. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He was basically very ruthless. He was not going to let anyone step into his way, stop him in his tracks. He was going to win by any means necessary. And that caused a problem between him and the Buddhists. And he just kind of got rid of the Buddhists. And basically, he got rid of the monks. He slaughtered them just to say, I don't care. Who's going to stop me? No one. So that's up until the point that I reached. And the very last thing I saw in the third episode was that, well, one of his senior generals was a devout Buddhist, and he was growing sick of Nobunaga's military tactics. He didn't enjoy seeing men, women, and children who were innocent being killed. It went against his values, and when Nobunaga really just dealt the killing blow to the Buddhists, he really just kind of wait, no, it was after he actually dealt the killing blow to the ninjas, the shinobis. He kind of like went AWOL and decided to turn on his warlord, turn on his lord, and which led Nobunaga to commit seppuku, which is suicide. So yeah, really interesting stuff. Honestly, it's really interesting to me, at least. Also, here's another episode brought to you by history, just like last week's. All right. So, by the way, guys, remember last week I told you about this hyped up UFC card that was stacked to the brim? Well, guys, I watched it and it was great. It lived up. But check this out. It was really good. It was a really good card, but there were a bit of hiccups, you could say. So, the card's prelims, which is the fights before the main card. The main card, which has all the star-studded fights. The prelims were also kind of stacked, and they were really entertaining. They delivered amazing. I'm not gonna mention all the fights. Obviously, there's too many. There was way too many fights on this card, but two of the most noteworthy fights on the prelims was Joseph Benavidez versus Askar Askarov at flyweight, and what was the other one? Prelim fight. Oh, Dominic Reyes versus Casey Kenny at bantamweight. So as for the Joseph Benavidez fight against Askar Askarov, man, I did not expect what I saw. Askar beat and dominated Joseph Benavidez. Joseph Benavidez is a former title challenger. Very recently, he's one of the two guys that beat Henry Cejudo, and he was just handled that way by Askar Askarov. Well, I mean, considering his few past performances, he didn't look very good against Davison Figueiredo, the division's current champion. But he didn't look good at all. Askar just had his number. He dominated him for 3 rounds and won the decision. And man, that was something to see. That was interesting. And now he's, I believe, 14-0 or something like that. Askar is undefeated. And the fight after that was Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny, which Dominic Cruz won. A split decision for whatever reason. It was clear Dominic won, but for some reason, one judge had to give it to the other guy. For whatever reason. I don't know why they do that. They mess up. Judging sometimes... judging is a problem, and that will be relevant again soon with regard to the main card. So, hopping onto the main card, the first fight was supposed to be a barn burner. Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic. It was supposed to be just a striking display of, a great display of striking and just prowess. But it was just a boring fight. For whatever reason, the fight, it's on the main card. It was supposed to be awesome. It looked awesome, at least, on paper. But man, it was just boring. And Alexander Rakic won the fight. That makes it Thiago Santos' 3rd loss in a row to top contenders in light heavyweight. Oh, and Thiago Santos even beat the light heavyweight champion Jan. So that was interesting. I mean, what happened to this guy? I mean, I know what happened to him. He injured his knees and had to take time off for surgery. But no, seriously, what happened to this guy? Anywho, so what else? Oh, right after that is honestly, this is the fight that I really cared about the most. I cared about Izzy versus Jan, which is champ versus champ, but come on, this fight was important as well. Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. So Islam's really testing himself with a top 15 lightweight. A guy who's who can't be considered in the top 15, and man, Islam just dominated him with amazing takedowns and ground control, and then he, in the 3rd round, submitted him with the most interesting choke I've seen in a while. An interesting variation of the Von Flue choke. Man, that was an interesting... look it up. It's a really cool, unexpected way to submit someone. Von Flue choke is already unexpected enough, but the way he did it, I did not see coming. Man, these Dagestanis are something else. Anyway, Islam looks like he's ready for top 10. He looks like he's ready for top 5 even. I would like to see him fight one more opponent before giving 1 or 2 more opponents before being given a title shot. He deserves it, honestly. He's doing real well so far. Real well. So props to him, and I really hope he becomes champion one day. Carries on the legacy of Abdul Manaf, Allah yarhamah. And after that was... Which fight was after that? Oh, it was the Aljamain Sterling versus Piotr Jan bantamweight title fight. That was a good fight for as long as it lasted, but the ending was so weird and disappointing, really. It was a really good fight. Aljamain came out strong in the 1st round. He probably won that round. And then the 2nd, and then the 3rd, the 2nd round was kind of even. The 3rd was the tides have shifted. Jan was now dominating. And then the fourth round came along, and Jan continued to dominate until he hit Aljamain with an illegal knee to the head. Man, look, this is what happened. Aljamain was a grounded opponent. He was on one knee. He was on the floor on one knee, and for some reason, Piotr threw a knee to his head, which is illegal. You can't do that. That's an illegal move. But I guess he actually asked his corner if he was able to do that, and they said yes, and he did, even though it was against the rules. It was a huge confusion. It was a big mistake that cost him the title. He was disqualified and stripped of the bantamweight title that he held, and it was given to Aljamain Sterling, the guy who received the horrible blow to the head, which kind of dazed him and almost knocked him out. And he just got the belt, even though he was the one who was losing the fight, because because the other guy was disqualified. So it makes him the winner. Man, that was a crazy toss-up of an ending. It was so weird, anticlimactic. It was such a good fight, and then it was just, boom, illegal knee, disqualification, new champ. But not really the champ. He's just the guy who holds the belt now. Man, yeah. It was kind of a mess. So it left a sour taste in our mouths, me and the guys who were watching. And then after that was the main event, which was a good fight. Wasn't bad, wasn't boring, wasn't exciting, wasn't a barn burner, but it was a good fight. Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz, the middleweight champion, moving up to fight the light heavyweight champion. And it was a good fight for as long as I was about to say for as long as it lasted again. No, it went all 5 rounds. Oh, by the way, after spoiling the entirety of the card for you, spoiler alert. Sorry I didn't say this earlier. You should have watched the fights before you check out my podcast, because man, I'm on that stuff. I'm connected. Oh, I was connected. No, that doesn't make sense. I want to say I'm in the know. I know what goes on in MMA. I'm gonna spill the beans as soon as as I see it and do the podcast. Anyway, I'm addicted to this thing, so I really just watch the cards, I watch the fights, and then I talk about them here. So you should know that by now. You should know that I love martial arts and MMA. So don't complain on me that I've spoiled the fights to you. Anyway, Anyway, so the main event was an interesting fight. It was a good fight. The middleweight champion brought it to the light heavyweight champion, rather, and it ended with the light heavyweight champion winning, outclassing the middleweight champion. But not necessarily outclassing in terms of skill. They were actually evenly matched with regard to skill, but Jan had the size advantage. Obviously, he's the light heavyweight. He has at least a 20-pound size advantage, and that came into play. That factored in, obviously. With regard to striking, they were very even. But then Jan, I'd say Izzy won the second round and the third, while Jan won the first and the fourth and the fifth. The reason he won for the fourth and the fifth because he was successful with takedowns, taking down his lighter opponent and controlling them on the ground with strength. And man, he actually, he defended his title. He did what he needed to do, and he remains the king at light heavyweight. So props to Jan Blachowicz, well-deserved victory, an amazing display of skill, and just a cool guy overall. Jan Blachowicz is a cool dude. He deserves the win. He deserves to be, the Polish national hero that he is, I guess. Yeah, really, people from Poland are like crazy about him. They're rushing to meet him at the airport as soon as he gets home. He gets to meet the president. He has all the media, just kind of, wanting to get to know him and things like that. Because, he's the new champion of Poland. So that's really cool. And Israel Adesanya loses his, he loses his O. He's no longer undefeated. But hey, he didn't lose to anybody. He lost to someone he dared to face at a heavier weight class. So he dared to be great, but he fell short. So what? The real failure would be if he hadn't tried that at all. If he didn't push his limits, which he did. So that's props to Adesanya. That's pretty cool. Oh, and I just reached the 30-minute mark. And, I'm in flow. I hate to stop the flow, but hey, I gotta end it, or else you guys get just bored. And, I don't want to lose you guys. Let me gain you guys first. I only have one listener so far. Well, at least by the time I'm recording this, I only have one subscriber. So this was the Candlelight Podcast by yours truly, Mohamed Abdalla. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you come back for more. And once again, mood follows action. See you guys in the next one. Peace.